I'm Scott Mendes, founder and president of Western Harvest Media. And what a privilege and an honor it is to come to you with yet another interview from the Western world. With me today is a very good friend, Scott Mesick. How are you, sir?
Good, good. How about you?
Excellent. Scott has got an incredible company, a great vision for the Western world. And as you know, in these interviews, we like to encourage you, strengthen you, and just give you a general update about God and family and even country, and a lot of background from the sport as well. So, Scott, you live right up the road here in Oklahoma.
That's right.
You've got a beautiful family. You've come here to the Western Harvest Ranch a time or two and kind of learned a little bit about what we do. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into what you do on the road.
Well, like you said, Scott, I'm from Gwinnett, Oklahoma, and you know it's a great area. We've only lived there for a short time, for about a year now. We're originally from Florida, is where we have my wife and my 3 kids are originally from, and you know the rodeos are here in Texas and Oklahoma area, which is why we're here, and you know we're here to promote the sport and to get involved, to be a part of it.
Awesome. For those of you that are watching, Scott has Making 8 Rodeo Network. Incredible. And tell our viewers a little bit about how we met for the first time and kind of what God's done in our relationship with the media world.
Well, you know, obviously social media is pretty large out there, and I think, you know, really that was the biggest key, was the social media and Facebook, and then interacting with, you know, somebody like yourself who's a world champion bull rider, and that's somebody we like to be a part of. And of course we've been doing radio shows that, you know, we've been developing that work online, they stream online, and you know it's great for the fans that can interact, because everything is going to computers nowadays. And you know, for you and I, you know, to interact through the social media sites, and just knew that your story is something that we wanted to share and broadcast to the rodeo fans. And so by us, you know, interacting that way and becoming friends, and then having an opportunity last year to come down here and see this beautiful Western Harvest Ministries ranch and, you know, be a part of it. It was great, bring the family down. So
awesome. The first time I actually met Scott, was it 2 years ago at the PBR World Finals Legends Reunion?
That's right.
That was the first time we actually met. Scott was able to pick, I think it was me and Rob Smith up from playing golf.
From the golf course.
And from that moment when we first, you know, you were able to pick us up and take us back to the hotel, you were doing some interviews out there. And we really didn't have any interviews, but you did come here last year and ran a little interview with me on your show, and I know that has some great feedback. What is your vision for Making 8 Rodeo Network? How are you, I mean, I know your vision, but tell the viewers how God has kind of desired that you begin to really showcase the sport and help it.
You know, I think really to talk about where our vision is, we really have to take a look at where we started and how it all developed. Honestly, you know, I had an opportunity, you know, growing up in the sport I mean, I was a fan. I was a young child and just passionate about watching, and always dreamed of one day being able to have that opportunity. And, you know, I mean, it's a young man's sport, but I you know, so I was a little later when I did have an opportunity, but I took advantage of it and went to some Lyle Sankey rodeo schools, and then started surrounding myself with great people who learned bull riding, and that gave me an opportunity to ride. And from the minute I did, it was just a deep passion, and to have that and to be able to travel with my family and have them experience what not just the rodeo itself is about, but the lifestyle that we live, you know, and the family oriented, you know, the opportunity to fellowship when we get there. You know, there's so much more involved than just showing up and, you know, jumping on the back of this bull. Although sometimes as we travel as bull riders, you know that's all you have time for, because you got to go to the next one. I know you do. But, you know, to spend time with your family, and that was something that has really laid heavy on me. Just growing up, I had a rough family and a rough childhood, and not have that family closeness that I do with rodeo. So in 2007, I was injured. I had a closed head injury, and you know, of course, my wife and my kids were there and witnessed it, and it was something I just didn't want to put them through again. So that was where I developed this. I saw a passion. I saw a need for being able to continue to find a way to bring this sport out to other families and to share it. And it doesn't matter what your place is in rodeo, but you can experience the same opportunities that I had, the same goals. You can achieve those goals, and share those with others. And like I said, to me, it was just amazing to be able to interact. So we just built we started a website. I went and purchased a website for a year and just bought the domain name. Had no idea what I was going to do with it. Never knew anything about building a website. But I felt like God had touched my heart and said, this is your home. This is where you're supposed to be, and this is your family. So, what do we do with family is we try to help each other. We try to raise each other up, and that's something that I felt like, well, maybe I'm in a position to do that. And, it has developed. We have went different directions over 4 years, but it's really kind of, as we started wide, it started to narrow down now. And now we've got a great direction that we're heading, and obviously we believe that God is the one that is in the front of that boat, just leading us the whole way, and we're excited about it.
Well, I was fixing to address that for the viewers because I've been a part of it and been on your show, and at the end of this interview we're going to give them the website to go there themselves and check it out. You'll fall in love with it because not everybody can be at Houston last night like you were. Scott and his broadcast was at Houston for a week or two, and you interviewed, I think you said 58 interviews?
We had 52 interviews over eight performances that we were there to cover with contestants.
And because you were there, those were the people that couldn't be there were able to learn who was winning the go-rounds, who placed in the average. Lots of great stuff going on by way of technical advancements from your show. I know that you're going to end up on satellite radio. You're going to be bringing different associations. You may be a fan of the PBR. You may be a fan of the CBR, PRCA, the IFR that you guys did. Incredible stuff. And I don't want to shift gears here, but tell me a little bit about the mascot, Bucky.
And that's a funny story as well. It was actually the day before we started to make our journey out here to Oklahoma that I was sitting back in Tampa, Florida, and I saw on the local news our local football mascot, and I said, why does rodeo not have that? I mean, where, you can't go to a rodeo, and he is such an important part of that team, and visiting hospitals and young kids and the development, he's a representative, a diplomat for the sport, and not just for the team, but for the sport itself of football. So I started researching. We spent a year researching, and I started getting involved and finding, what would be a great character line, and we built a sort of a character for him and kind of developed who he was going to be. And, he's a young bull. He's always up to mischief out at rodeos, but we call him Bucky the Bull. And, his initials, and you'll see, when we have an opportunity and you go to the website and see it, you'll see it's capital B and capital E, which is B. And of course his motto is believe in yourself and become your dreams. And it's just that passion for the sport of rodeo that we felt, if it's just one extra thing and that we can do to develop and help this sport grow and reach out and touch new people, or touch fans that have been supporting this sport, and be a diplomat. There may be kids that love horses and love bulls, love rodeo, but they may never have a chance to go themselves to see one. They may be in a hospital or something. Well, we can bring Bucky, we can bring that rodeo to them right there, in their hospital room. And I think that that's real important, for where rodeo belongs. And that's what rodeo is it's a lifestyle, and I believe we can share that.
Right. So far we've talked about your family. We've talked a little bit about the Making 8 Rodeo Network. We talked about Bucky, who is an endorsement. And I'm telling you, folks, if you have any kind of a Western event, you would want Scott and his crew to be there, not only through his broadcast, but through his in-house advancements with Bucky's and pre-rodeo event show and working with children. So I know you'll be blessed, and you'll be able to go to his website here in a minute. Tell us a little bit, Scott, because I know you personally. We've been talking here at the ranch today while we've been doing some stuff about how you feel that God has really blessed you. And I personally know that God is blessing Scott and his family for stepping out in faith. You've done that. You've been obedient to answer the call. But also what's going on is that you're meeting needs of other people, and you have never shied away from your network saying that, hey, we want to help the cowboy churches, we want to help the Christian athletes to not only build a platform for reaching the world, but we want to be able to say, hey, we're Christians, we believe in family values and have a strong belief in God and in country. So tell us a little bit about how you're not really hidden of that, but you're outward with that, because I think that's a big key.
You know, as like you were saying, Scott, I believe that we're just a true testimony of what God has done for us, because there's no other way to explain some of the adventures and the roads that we've had to take, the obstacles that we've had to overcome. We would just never expect. I mean, I didn't grow up in rodeo. I don't have a family tradition of rodeo. I never worked on ranches. You know, I lived in the city most of my life. I spent a little bit of time on horseback growing up as a kid, you know. So for me to be in a position to be associated with so many people who are involved in this sport can tell me, it just shows me one thing, and that's just that God will open those doors, and He's going to send you down the path that He wants you to send. And I believe truly that here recently, it's, you know, I mean, I've had to overcome a lot of obstacles and a lot of heartaches, a lot of things that, you know, is life. And when you try to do it alone, it is a struggle, and you feel like you're going underwater. But I've learned to rely upon my faith in Christ and know that He is going to help me, and you know, He's going to walk me through these, you know, and I often refer back to footprints in the sand and know that He carries us. In those times where we think that we are the ones there by ourselves, that He is the one that's actually carried us, and He was able to do that. And I was able to see that here just even within the last year, and as we started to develop things for our vision for 2013, it's just, you know, doors have really opened up, and we've been affiliated with some of the best names in the business, like yourself, you know, like great, strong Sammy Andrews.
Smith, a lot of guys that I personally competed with, and you're right, those are very integrous rodeo companies, and he's opened a lot of doors for you.
Yes.
That's awesome. You know, when you were talking about kind of having blind faith and the Lord carrying you, what kind of bore witness in my spirit was the fact that the Bible says, who much is given, much is required. And some of you that are watching this interview may have had or felt a sense of God asking you to step out in faith, to meet a need, or maybe to build something that is not in motion, or just simply to get in agreement with other projects. So I commend Scott, but I'm going to ask you, the viewer, after this interview is done, to just kind of examine your heart and find out if there's any dreams or any talents that are laying dormant. Because I'm going to tell you this, folks, the devil is a liar and he is a deceiver. And a lot of times it's just by way of conversation that somebody would say, or shoot down your dream and your vision, and to say, you can't do that, or you don't have the resources to do that, or you shouldn't do that. But I'm here to tell you that if you'll step out in faith like Scott has, like our family has in our ministry, the Lord will bless you. And that's a good sovereign God that we serve, is a loving God. And He wants to have you understand what your purposes are and what your gifts are. Because when you find out and discover your destiny, your life will never be the same. You know, the old saying, Scott, is somebody that loves their job never went to work a day in their life.
That's right.
And so I'm excited to have you here, brother. I want to encourage you. Why don't you just tell everybody real quickly how to get in contact with you? You have every avenue to do that.
We have a multitude of avenues. You know, we've got the social media with our Twitter page at Makin8, MAKIN, the number 8. And then we've got our Facebook page, which is Makin8 Network. And then we have our website, which is just newly developed, thanks to the good Lord. I mean, He has just, you know, given us guidance and inspiration and opened up doors for us. But our new website is makin8rodeo.com. And, you know, we've got YouTube channels that we're just still in the process of developing, but we're going to be posting some of those on there. There's just all kinds of interaction. It's just a great deal. Our radio shows are all there. We've even got some of our video web streams that we've done over the past few years. So it really is. It's a great way for fans to come to one source and see a multitude of different things and watch a lot of talented athletes in this sport, you know, do some great things and understand a little bit more of the history. As coming from a fan perspective, it's somebody who spent some time in the sport, the way we explain it there through Making It Rodeo Network is a way that fans can receive it. It doesn't confuse them. You hear a lot of bull riding interviews, and they'll talk bull riding because that's all they know, But for a fan that may be out there, they may say, well, I don't quite understand. I don't quite understand what he said. But we try to interpret that a little bit with our radio programming and the way we commentate these things, so that way fans can understand those and become more involved. And that's what we really want. We want interaction. We want to create a way for you to become closer to the spectators, and for the athletes to go back and forth and be involved with each other. I mean, it's a family, and that's really what it is. If it wasn't for the competitors, there would be no fans, and if it wasn't for the fans, well, then it would just be a bunch of crazy guys sitting on a fence, just making bets with themselves. There would be no sport, and there would be no lifestyle. Well, I take it there would be a lifestyle because you never stop ranching, and that's just so important.
Well, it sounds like what Scott is conveying is that his network is educating people how to become a fan, how to be a believer in the sport. And again, I just thank you for allowing ministries like mine and I know you see, Scott goes all over the country with his program, and as he gets a chance to see all these unique things, it's awesome to see maybe the Lord working through everybody's lives and doing different things. Now, you haven't been out to any of our Christian bull riding events that we put on, but the CTB, as we get ready to step into a new schedule this year, it's going to be real exciting because we want to have Bucky there. We want you networking with all the people in the community as well. So I commend you, Brother Scott, on everything that you're doing. I thank you for your family. I just ask that you keep a witness in your heart and keep doing what's right. Is there anything you'd like to say to the viewers before?
I think the biggest thing is that when just like we were talking about earlier, in my situation that I know, when I felt like I was alone in trying to make something happen, and I realized that if I lean on that Lord a little bit, He's going to show me that He's the one that's carrying me through. And it's just a message that, and in order to achieve those goals, one thing that I was taught when I first started riding bulls is if you want to be successful, you surround yourself with successful people. And that doesn't just include in what you want to do in life, but who you are as a Christian, and who you are as a person. You're only going to be as good as the person next to you. And I can tell you, Scott, it's a pleasure to be sitting here next to you because you inspire me, and you've been a great mentor. I've really enjoyed our friendship.
Well, with that, as we end this interview, I want to talk to you just a little bit about mentoring and discipleship. Scott's exactly right, the Word of God. I mean, what Jesus did with His disciples, and He taught them, He cared about them, He loved them. He wants to be a part of your life today. I hope this interview has greatly blessed you. If you like, you can go to YouTube at Western Harvest. And you can also go to Western Harvest Ministries to learn about the ministry, or you can go to Western Harvest Media to learn a little bit more about the media projects that we have. We have a number of movies this summer and a number of rodeo camps. It's real exciting. If we ever get close to where you are, please come out and see us. We love you. From Scott Mendes and Scott Mesick, we'll see you guys down the road.